This is the Wisco Boater channel. My name is Chad. I don't know why I did that. I just started watching Jeopardy. 46 years old and I just started watching Jeopardy. Also, just started drinking coffee again. Haven't had coffee in over a year. But it's time to boat shop, and I think boat shopping requires drinking some coffee. Let's go inside and take a look at some boats. All right, welcome to my home office. We're gonna take a look at some of the boats that I've got saved on Boat Trader. I had 35 boats saved on my Boat Trader boats I like list. I've narrowed that down to 20. We're not gonna look at all 20 of them. I think what I'm going to do here is just try and pick out my top 5 that I currently like. And I'll try to spend no more than about 5 minutes on each of these 5 boats. I just want to go over some details that I like about these boats and maybe get some feedback from you guys on what you like or don't like. With the caveat being, by the time this video comes out, I might already be working on a deal on one of them. But always appreciate the feedback. So let's dig into my top 5 boats out of the 20 that I currently have saved. These are all boats in the 26 to 32 foot range. And a couple of them, I think maybe three or four of them are right here in Sturgeon Bay. Those 3 or 4 that are on the list, I think only one of them I'm gonna talk about in this video. But let's dig into it and see what I'm looking at. So the first one we'll take a look at here is a 1990 Formula 29 PC. This is one of the older boats. I think probably the oldest boat I'll talk about in this video. 1990 makes it a 33-year-old boat going on 34. And it's located in Bettendorf, Iowa. So that's a good 5.5, 6 hours away from me. I think it's probably the boat that's the farthest away. But this boat does have a trailer. You can see it does have a nice long bow pulpit with an anchor and windlass, which likely is not included in the 29-foot designation. So this probably makes this at least a 30-foot, maybe 32-foot boat, because it does have a swim platform as well. This boat, it kind of checks all the boxes. It's $23,000. By the way, I'm looking to spend somewhere between 20 and 35,000. That's kind of the range of budget that I've given myself. This boat has twin big blocks in it, twin 7.4s. Each engine has 1,000 hours on it. Now, hours on a boat don't really scare me one way or the other. It all depends on how well the boat and motors were cared for. A boat with 1,000 hours on it, if it's well maintained, could easily go 2,500 plus hours without any major work being done to it. The same can also be true for an older boat that has 200 hours on it, because if it's well maintained, regular maintenance, the engines would be great. If it has 200 hours on it from 30 years ago and it hasn't been used much since, that could be a problem. So low hours, high hours, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, because you just don't know until you have it mechanically inspected. So I don't put a whole lot of weight in what a boat shows for hours. Okay, so getting back to this boat, again, twin 7.4s, big blocks. This boat does have a generator. It's got a full camper enclosure, bimini top, arch, air conditioning, heat. The boat seems to be in the pictures anyway, in really, really decent condition. You can see the dinette here in the salon. It looks really, really nice. I like the colors of this boat on the inside. It's a 90, but it kind of has that late 80s vibe to it. It's kind of dark colors with light colors. The gray cushions with the dark blue carpet. So the power panel is all black, and then the galley here is all white. Not much in the way of upgrades with the inside of the boat. You know, the stove here is original. I would say this is probably an all original boat, just judging by the pictures. It is a mid cabin, so it's got the seating area that converts to a bed underneath the helm. Yeah, it's a nice looking boat. I like the colors of the outside. I guess looking at the stern of the boat, the only thing I don't like about this boat is it's really blocky, which is the 1990s, late 80s, early 90s style. It does have a walk-through transom with a door, but the swim platform isn't really nicely integrated with the transom. Yeah, it has an aged look about it. So VHF radio, no electronics. It reads as having a lot of good qualities to it. It's just older. So let's look at the second boat. By the way, these are not in any specific order. Top 5, you know, the first one I'm looking at here is not necessarily number 1 or number 5. It's just I'm just randomly picking the 5 boats that I'm most interested in. So before we get into the next boat, I just want to mention earlier this summer, in a couple of videos, I think quite early in the summer, I mentioned that I was really interested, if I sold Thirsty Whale, that I was going to look at the same vintage Chris Craft, 281, 291, something like that. While I love those boats, and I've looked at a few through, just internet shopping, and there's a few of them out there that are appear anyway to be completely what I'll call restored, but not necessarily upgraded. So I got to thinking about that over the summer, and while I'm coming out of an '84 Chris Craft, I'm not so sure now that I want to go back into that same vintage of boat from the early to mid '80s. And I don't really have a strong reason for it, other than I kind of just want something newer. So all the boats that are on the list here are newer. I'll say, the 1990 formula is the oldest one. All the others are going to be late 90s, early 2000s. If for no other reason than just to get into a newer boat. Now we're still talking boats that are 20, 25 years old, but it's just where I've kind of led myself over the summer and fall and early winter months, is to look at something just a little bit newer. So that's why. All right, so moving on from the 1990 Formula 29 PC that is in Bettendorf, Iowa with a trailer, we will go to the second boat that I will talk about. Is this 2001 Regal 2660 Commodore. This boat is in St. Joseph, Michigan, again with a trailer. This boat is nearly the exact same vintage as Clifford was. Clifford was a 2002 Regal 2665. I think the only difference between the 2660 and the 2665 were the layouts are very similar, but I believe the only difference is the 2665 that I had a single engine 350 Merc in it, and the 2660, at least all of them that I have seen, all have twins, twin V6s. So this boat is listed at $32,900, and it has twin Volvo 4.3 liter V6s in it. Engine hours are around 700. Looks like one has 711, the other one has 645, 205 horsepower each. So it makes that, 410, if my math is correct. Does have a trailer, as you can see. Does have air conditioning, windlass. It's got a full camper enclosure, bimini, hot water heater. No generator on this one, which again, a generator is not a big deal for me. I've never had a boat with a generator, and it's never been a problem. I suppose, if I anchored out by myself, which I probably would, I can't see myself doing, maybe I would, but I can't see myself doing that. If I anchor out with the next boat, it will likely be with somebody tied up. And all my buddies up here have big boats with generators on. Not that I can use their power, but you know, if I'm tied up to somebody, just walk over to their boat and do whatever it is I would need to do that would require power, charging a phone or something like that. So let's look at some of the pictures of this boat. You can see it's got a nice extended swim platform on it. The layout on the transom is a little bit different than Clifford was. Looks like it's got some fender holders integrated into the transom. Again, walk through transom there. There's the twin stern drives, twin bimini tops that do have side curtains to make it a full camper enclosure. One more quick note about the 29 PC, the Formula 29 PC. That is a 10-foot 4-inch beam, I believe, which is nice to have that extra width. The Regal here is an 8-foot 6 beam boat. So going back to exactly the same width that I had with Clifford, which was one of the things that I really wanted a bigger boat for in the first place, was to get that extra beam width. You know, Thirsty Whale was 14-foot 4. So going back to a smaller boat with a narrower beam, you know, somewhere between 8'6" and 10 are the boats that I'm looking at here. That'll be a little bit of an adjustment going back to that. But, you know, everything's a compromise. So looks like the middle seat here can convert forward facing to aft facing with the seat back that would swing. Essentially the same layout as Clifford was, except for reversed. The entry door on Clifford was on the port side. It's on the starboard side here on the 2660. It has a sink here on the side, kind of an outdoor galley area with the cooler holder. Clifford had that as well. The helm area is very similar. You can see it's got the twin throttles there. No electronics other than a VHF, but this boat's in really nice condition. It's a year older than Clifford was, and I had to reupholster most of the cockpit seats on Clifford. I do like the aft-facing seat here on the port side up near the helm. So you got 3 bow hatches here on the bow. Clifford only had 1, so that's nice to have some additional light and airflow. If not using the air conditioner. The V-berth area, this one does have the mid-cabin as well. It's got the typical early 2000s Regal paneled woodwork, fake paneled woodwork here. It looks like the original microwave, and there's a stove, probably a 2 or 3 burner stove underneath the panel there next to the sink. One thing Regal did that I replaced everything with on Regal was they used a lot of gold accents in their boats, and I don't like gold. I don't like the color. On Clifford, I replaced every single gold accent with a silver colored replacement. So electric head, I believe. I don't see a pump on that, so electric head. And there is the mid cabin with a little porthole. There's the engine, one of the 2 engines, 4.3 liter V6s. Again, looks like a nice clean engine compartment. A couple of batteries there. So this boat is actually closer straight line distance wise in St. Joseph, Michigan, but would probably still take 5 or 6 hours to get to see this boat. All right, let's see what we have next. Boat number 3 is a 1998 Cobalt 293, 29-foot boat priced at $30,000. This boat is right here in Sturgeon Bay. This boat is actually the very first boat that I put on my list back in May or June, probably June, when I really started thinking about selling Thirsty Whale. I'm on Boat Trader all the time, even before I was thinking about selling Thirsty Whale. I just like looking at boats. So, but when I kind of got serious about selling Thirsty Whale, in my mind anyway, I started adding boats that I would be interested in to my boats I like list on Boat Trader, and this is the very first one I put on the list. Didn't really give much more thought to this boat initially because I didn't really know what style I was going for. Again, I mentioned earlier that I was thinking I was going to look at mid-80s Chris Crafts again. But this boat, the style of this boat just kind of struck me as a really, really nice looking boat. I like the lines of it, but I didn't really give much more thought to it mainly because the description on this boat on Boat Trader and on Skipper Bud's website, this is a Skipper Bud's represented boat. there's just not much detail in what this boat has. So I didn't know, I mean, I looked at the pictures, I read the description, you know, it's got a single engine 7.4 Merc in it. But the details just aren't there, other than, you know, saying the standard stuff. It says that, you know, it's got a mooring cover, fenders, electric windlass, windshield wipers, you know, standard stuff that boats like this would have. Batteries, obviously, VHF radio, stereo, refrigerator, water heater, that kind of stuff. Doesn't say anything about having a full camper enclosure or air conditioning, so I don't know. Haven't looked at further details on this boat. Does have a bimini top, obviously, you can see from the pictures here. It's just a really nice looking boat, and it's in good shape. It's been indoors, typically storage. Now, living here in Sturgeon Bay, I have driven by this boat many times. It is outside storage, winterized this year. I'm assuming that the owners have decided to cut costs a little bit on this boat, because this boat's been for sale for quite a long time. I don't know the reason yet why it's been for sale for so long, but it's been for sale for quite a while. I think it started out around $35,000. It's now $30,000. Looks like it just needs some cleanup here in the cockpit, but the seats are all in really nice shape. It's just an overall nice condition boat. See, the bow here has 2 hatches. Again, nice airflow when not running an air conditioner. If it has an air conditioner, you know, I don't know that. Nice clean helm area. So again, 7.4 MPI Merc in it. The one thing I do really like about a single engine boat is, especially if it has an open area, and I can't really tell from this picture how much space you have. Now, the Regal was really bad as far as access to a lot of things around the engine. There was space on one side to get down in the engine room and work on it. If you go back and watch any of those videos when I did some engine work, you can see I'm down in there, and some things are easy to get to, other things are really difficult to get to. As my friend Kevin helped me replace the bilge pump in that boat, and getting down to the bilge was really, really difficult. I still have no idea how either of us got down in there. But a single engine boat versus a twin in this size range, you should have a lot more room to work on and around the engine. Twins in the same space get really, really tight. And there's a few boats. I think one of the others we'll look at here, we'll get a good look at the engine compartment. And you can see it's just very, very difficult to have the space to work on an engine. So single versus twin doesn't really matter to me. I have a lot of experience operating single engine boats. It's easier to maneuver a boat that has twin engines, whether it's sticks or integrated throttle transmission controls. But a single engine boat, I know how to maneuver them. You know, I think 7 of the 8 boats that I've had and operated over the years. Well, I've had more than 20 boats, but I didn't actually operate all of them, you know, whether it was a restoration or a flip or something like that, or part out. But 7 of the 8 boats that I have actually owned and operated have been single engine boats. So it doesn't really matter to me, single versus twin. The biggest thing for me is when considering engines is the amount of space there is to work on it. And I've learned that over the years. I'm really looking forward to making maintenance easier on myself. The older I get, the harder it is to get down in an engine compartment or engine room and work around an engine. So space around an engine, that is a big consideration for me. But single or twin, that doesn't matter. I'm looking for space to be able to do work on the engine, whether it's just an oil change or changing spark plug or riser gaskets, whatever it is. So there's just a few pictures of this boat. You know, here's a little galley area. I don't know what's underneath the countertops there. I would assume a sink and maybe a single burner stove. I'm assuming or guessing that black panel there is probably the power panel. you know, original microwave. So picture of the V-berth here. You know, everything looks to be in good shape. Very dark photo of the head. Don't see a pump, so this is probably an electric toilet. Bravo 3 outdrive, familiar with that. Clifford had the same drive on it. The number of drives, that's kind of a consideration. Drive maintenance can get expensive, and if you have two, that certainly adds to the cost. Bravo 3s are not inexpensive to maintain or fix, but in the case of maintenance, again, single versus twin, single is easier to maintain on the checkbook. No extended swim platform on this boat, but it does have a nice integrated swim platform, a narrow one. The boat's called Blue Eyes. You can see where it says there that aft transom area looks like it opens because of the seams. I don't know how the engine room, how do you get to the engine? Whether it's just through this small hatch here in the cockpit, looks like that's probably a little forward of where the engine is. So I would assume that that somehow the aft seating area there opens up to get to the engine. Yeah, just a few pictures on this one. Don't know a whole lot about it. It's here in Sturgeon Bay. I probably will take a look at this one just because it's here. And again, I really like the lines on this boat, and it's priced right. The beam on this 98 Cobalt 293 is 9'6". On to boat number 4. This is a 2000 Chaparral 270 Signature, 27-foot boat, listed at $25,000. It's in Hastings, Minnesota. Does have a trailer. So any of these boats that I'm looking at outside of Sturgeon Bay, really, I do want to or need to have a trailer to transport back if I were to go look at and purchase one. So this one does have a trailer. This is a really nice looking boat. It's also a twin engine 4.3 liter V6 boat. These are Mercs. Hours are not given. The one thing in the description here is it says there's no service history, which you know, may be an issue. I do like to see service history, but with no service history mentioned, I think a survey would probably be in order. Certainly a mechanical inspection on any of these boats that I'd be looking at. Less concerned about a survey on boats of this vintage, more concerned about mechanicals. And all these boats I'm looking at are well-made boats, but even well-made boats can have issues. I understand that. So surveys, question mark, mechanical inspection on any of them is definitely going to happen. So this one has Alpha 1 stern drives on it, does have air conditioning, does not have a generator, but it's a nice looking boat. You can see in the cockpit here, a little bit of staining on top of the captain's chair there, but the rest of the upholstery looks to be in good shape. Very similar layout to the Regal that I was talking about earlier. In fact, it's almost identical with the seating area across from the helm there and the aft cockpit seating area. It doesn't have a convertible forward aft seat on the port side there. Okay, so if I look at the first picture here, yeah, you can see there's no like dinette style seating on this boat. So socializing on this boat might be a little more difficult because there is no seat facing aft in the cockpit here. Below that port side, you know, L-shaped settee, there's a window that probably goes down to the mid-cabin berth. Let's see, let's look at some other pictures here. We got twin V6s. So this is what I'm talking about. Boats of this size with twin engines, the access to work on them is, I would call, atrocious. This is worse than Clifford was with a single engine. I would assume that the bars here are removable, probably looks like screws. They don't look like they're quickly removable. You know, screw gun, every time you want to get down there to work on something, those bars would have to come out most likely. This is an 8'6" beam boat. The engine hatch here is similar to Clifford, but with the twins there, they're very, very close together. And then looking at the outside of each engine, you've got probably a waste tank on the starboard side there. And then batteries on the port side. Yeah, this is what kind of makes me not want to buy a twin engine boat in this size range, just because maintenance on engines is going to be a nightmare. Oil changes looks like pretty easy. Filters are right up front, you know, belts, easy access, water pump access for impellers. That's all fairly easy. You got decent space in front of the engines there, but changing spark plugs or working on risers or changing the rubber transition hose from the manifolds to the exhaust as it exits the transom. That kind of stuff just I just can't. I don't want to put myself in that position, I guess is what I'm going for here. But I wanted to show this boat. It's in my top 5 because I like the looks of this boat. I really do. It's just a really nice looking boat. It's in really good shape. But the engines, they're so packed tight in there. I don't know. So going down into the cabin here, you can see on the right side of the picture here, it does have air conditioning controls, probably air and heat, probably a 1 or 2 burner stove in the galley area there. The upholstery looks to be in great shape. Don't like the trim that wraps around the cabin here. That's very similar to the pattern that I took out of Thirsty Whale, because I called that Golden Girls material. Not to offend anyone that likes the Golden Girls show, but it just seems very grandma-ish to me. Yeah, I just not really a fan of that material. 2 bow hatches, again, good for ventilation when not using the air. You can see there's a vent there for air and heat just below the galley. Other than the trim fabric, I do like the look of this cabin galley area. Again, look at the fabric back there in that aft cabin. Ugh. Probably original microwave, but nice looking countertop. Fridge below the sink there. Yeah, table looks to be in nice shape, and V-berth, you know, converts to a bed. Obviously, almost all of these do. But oh, that material, that material on the bed. Now they get covered with sheets on it, obviously, but the curtain, you know, the curtain and both curtains have that material. That would definitely have to be changed. The head, can't tell, looks like switches back here, probably an electric toilet. Oh, it is manual flush. Okay, so I don't know what those switches would be for. Maybe lighting. It's a nice looking boat though. Boat number 5, the last boat that we'll look at in this video, is a 1996 Doral 300 SC. This is a 30-foot boat listed at $32,900. This is in Red Wing, Minnesota. So first picture we're looking at here, you can see it does have full camper enclosure. It has a radar arch that looks very similar to the one that was on Thirsty Whale. A lot of these that look like this are aftermarket. They weren't integrated from the factory. I don't know that that's the case with this boat, but anytime I see one of these aluminum arches, I tend to think that they were probably aftermarket added to the boat, but looks nice anyway. Going over the top of the camper canvas there, so there's room to put radar and horns or GPS antennas, that kind of stuff. So this boat is really nice. We'll dive into the pictures here in just a second, but this is powered by twin 5.7s, twin 5.7 Mercs. It's got a lot of nice features in it. Does have air conditioning, I believe. It doesn't say it in the description, but look at the pictures here. I'm pretty sure that it does. This boat has a 10-foot 2-inch beam. So it's a 30-foot boat, 10-foot 2 beam. So the biggest boat that I'm going over today out of the 5 does not have a trailer though. So that's would be an issue to try and work into a deal, because this would have to be transported by a third party without a trailer. And Red Wing is not that far away, 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, probably 4 hours away. But yeah, no trailer, unfortunately. So it's listed as a 30-foot boat. LOA shows 34 feet with the swim platform, which we'll show you here in a second. It's got a huge swim platform in it. Standard features, pretty much any boat has, you know, air conditioning, heat, hot water. It does not have a generator, but let's look at the pictures. Check out the swim platform on this thing. That's aftermarket, I'm sure. I've not seen, actually both the boats in this picture have giant swim platforms on them. I don't know what the one is behind it, but that's just gigantic. It looks like a 4-foot swim platform on the back of this thing. Big bow rails on it. It looks like probably 3 hatches on the bow. So nice, easy entrance onto the boat. Swim platform is nice, up nice and high, which makes for boarding and deboarding easy, but a little less desirable for water activities being up that high. Obviously, there's a swim ladder, but it probably has to be that high because it's so long. When you're pushing the throttles forward, getting the boat on plane, the stern of the boat dips into the water. And if that was any lower, you probably end up with dragging the swim platform with the initial bow rise. Cockpit and helm area in this boat looks very nice. I like the rounded seating area, not a dinette style. The L shape is kind of nice for socializing. It integrates with the helm area pretty decently, so you wouldn't really feel like you're blocked from conversations from the helm area back to the cockpit. Refrigerator in the cockpit here. Interesting table. That's probably something that was changed out, would be my guess. But you can see the upholstery here, real nice shape, open, nice for socializing. The cup holder here, bottom of the picture, looks like it's money, printed money, which is kind of funny. Yeah, that's kind of a cool table, marbly looking. So there's the side seating area. Again, cup holders over here. I would assume have that same money print on them. Can't quite see it, but switches, they're a little aged. Probably look at replacing those. Some yellowing of the speaker here under the helm. The sub, looks like a sub underneath the helm seat there, probably an addition. But yeah, you can see the switches there. Those are all very, very worn. VHF radio, no electronics. Oh, there's a different table that can be put in there. Matches that little cup holder table. And the table down below matches. This one, being 30 feet long, does have the dinette between the head and the forward V-berth. You can see in the picture here right in the middle, it does have a vent, so it does have air conditioning and heat. It has a side-facing couch across from the head, which the other boats don't have. This is the biggest boat on the list here of the ones I'm looking at today. Nice upholstery down below. Everything looks to be in really good shape. A lot of original stuff other than the table, probably. Original microwave. Another refrigerator down here. So nice big V-berth that is separate from the dinette. So you don't have to convert that every time you want to sleep or use it as a dinette. Cabinet space, pretty abundant here. Again, side couch there. That behind that goes to the mid cabin. Underneath the helm, power panel above that. Nice companionway steps. It says in the description here, I think it has new teak in it, which is done, yeah, updated with new teak flooring. So that's a nice feature. The head, it looks like it's probably a manual flush. Does it say? Just says marine head. And I don't see anything in the description here that says it's electric. So looks like there's a pump to the right side of the toilet. Gold trim. Yeah, I don't like that. But it's the only little piece of trim that I've seen in the pictures that show gold. So nice picture of the flooring there. It's got some staining on it. So they say updated, but doesn't say how old it is. It looks nice, just does have some staining. So here again, we look at the twin engine configuration. Now this is a wider boat, 10'2", it says. Yeah, 10'2" 2" beam. So there would be more space to work on these engines, but they're tucked underneath the rear seating area. So the engine hatch is forward and you crawl down and back to get to the engines. Better access, but again, on the starboard side here, outboard of the starboard engine, there's something over there, a tank of some sort, hot water or waste, one of the two. That's kind of in the way. But, you know, oil filters, easy access, belts, alternator, water pump, that's all on the front of the engine here, front of the engines. But getting between them or the outside, just again, 2 engines on a 30-foot boat, even with the wider beam, still going to have fairly limited access to the engines. So this one is a nice one. I do like this. This is probably one that's more near the top of the list, but no trailer, so I'd have to consider transportation costs on that one. So that's the beginning of my actual official boat shopping. We're not quite closed on Thirsty Whale yet. Probably in the next week or so. This video, by the time it comes out though, will come out probably well after Thirsty Whale is closed and no longer mine. So, but I just, you know, I wasn't getting too serious about looking at boats until I knew for sure we had a closing date in place for Thirsty Whale, which is scheduled for December 19th. This is December 7th. So a couple weeks away from that. Not a couple weeks, we're 12 days away from that. So, you know, once I get the boat closed, which there'll be videos on that, getting the boat ready for the new owner, taking everything off, signing papers, all that stuff. Got to put that new bow cushion on the boat once I get that back from the upholsterer here in town. But yeah, so we'll call it the top 5 boats that I'm looking at out of the narrowed down to 20 from 35. So we'll see what happens here in the coming weeks. We'll go take a look at, definitely go look at a few boats here in Sturgeon Bay. There's at least 3, I didn't cover them in this video. There's a 32-foot Wellcraft that I might go look at. There's a 23-foot Crown Line here in town that's on a trailer. Probably a little small for what I'm wanting, but it's here in town. I may take a look at it, or at least do a walk by. There's an older Tiara here in town that a friend of mine owns. May take a drive by of that one. Not sure I'll look at it. Again, it's in that vintage that it goes back to the mid 80s. Chris Craft, I think it's an 82 or 83 Tiara. Really nice boat. Just probably a little bit older than I want to look at. I mean, old boats, new boats, doesn't matter. Quality, they can be great boats. I'm not concerned about the age of a boat. Just style-wise, I'm looking to get into something a little bit newer. So we'll see what happens here in the coming weeks, and go look at some boats. But we got to do that after Thirsty Whale closes. So from my office in the apartment, hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wisco Boater Channel. We'll see you next time, everybody. Happy boating.